how you can uncover the hidden syllabus of Union Public Service Commission for the mains examination. The topic of parliamentary committees now on the basis of the questions that UPSC has asked already. Not just look at PYQs, try and map the PYQs to the syllabus and divide the syllabus into smaller subsections. If I can do this for each and every topic in the syllabus, I shall be prepared for the mains examination. Hello everyone. If you look at the UPSC syllabus that has been provided in the notification, it sounds confusing at many levels. The reason for that is because it does give us some kind of direction on what are the topics that we need to prepare. But what exactly do we need to know in those topics? What are the dimensions that we need to cover while we are preparing those topics is something that is unknown to most candidates for the exam. I'll simply run you through the syllabus which has been provided for General Studies Paper 2 by UPSC for the mains examination. The syllabus says Parliament and state legislatures, structure, functioning, conduct of business, powers and privileges and issues arising out of these. Structure, functioning, conduct of business, powers and privileges, and issues associated with the functioning of the parliament and the state legislatures. It does not tell us that if we have to prepare the topic of parliamentary committees, to what depth do we need to prepare the topic of parliamentary committees? What are the various dimensions that I need to cover as a part of parliamentary committees? What all parliamentary committees I should be knowing about? The only way to understand what exactly does this mean? What is the meaning of parliament and state legislatures? What is the meaning of the functioning of the parliament and the state legislatures? We need to unlock the meaning with the help of previous year questions. In the next few minutes, I'm going to be discussing with you how you can uncover the hidden syllabus of Union Public Service Commission for the mains examination simply by analyzing the previous year questions. And that will be the key to success in the mains examination. So let's begin. Let me show you what are the kind of questions that UPSC has asked related to the topic of parliamentary committees. What I want to convey therefore is that the UPSC syllabus is incomplete. It's like an iceberg. You see certain things, but there is a lot which is hidden and which needs to be uncovered. And that can only be done via PYQs. For each of the themes that we are going to be discussing today, as an example, I'll be taking up 3 themes. I'll tell you what is the approach that you people can adopt in order to understand what all you need to focus on for the mains examination. So the topic is parliamentary committees. Now, let's look at the kind of previous year questions that UPSC has asked from the topic of parliamentary committees in the recent years. This has been a high weightage topic. In the last few years, multiple questions have been asked from this topic. The most recent one was asked in the examination of 2023. We have not seen parliamentary committees since then in mains examination. There have been a few questions in prelims. This year's prelims as well, there were a few questions. 2017 question says, discuss the role of Public Accounts Committee in establishing accountability of the government to the people. There is a committee of the parliament which is called as the Public Accounts Committee. It consists of members of both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Its primary role is to hold the government accountable with respect to its financial spending. It is supposed to look into the reports that have been prepared by the CAG on the expenditure and the revenue as well as the public sector undertakings of the government. And therefore, the question is, discuss the role of PAC in establishing accountability of the government to the people. The question expects us to talk about what are the functions that are supposed to be performed by the Public Accounts Committee. Since the question is about discussion on the same, We need to highlight what have been some of the achievements of the PSC, where they have been able to hold the government accountable effectively in the past. What are some of the limitations and challenges associated with the functioning of the Public Accounts Committee? And possibly what reforms can be brought about in order to strengthen its role further. The second question was asked in 2018, again 10 marker, which was, why do you think the committees are considered to be useful for parliamentary work? So here the question is about the utility of the parliamentary committees. What is the kind of role that they play in the entire parliamentary functioning and aid the parliamentary functioning in India? Discuss in this context the role of the estimates committee. What is the role that is played by the estimates committee with respect to parliamentary work? So specifically, again, UPSC is getting into one committee of the parliament, which is an estimates committee, which is also called as the continuous committee, consists of 30 members of the Lok Sabha. All the members are from Lok Sabha, as you people would know. The third question is about department related standing committees now, asked in 2021. Do department related standing committees keep administration on their toes and inspire reverence for parliamentary control? Do they play a role of keeping the administration on toes? And do they ensure that the executive has respect for parliamentary control? Are they able to achieve the same or not? So we will have to evaluate the functioning of the department-related standing committees vis-a-vis the role that has been given to them. Have they been able to perform their role of holding the executive accountable? Evaluate the working of such committees with suitable examples. So we have to again evaluate. We have to make a sheet of what are the activities that the DRSCs in India have been able to achieve. What are the achievements they have not been able to make? What are the reasons for the same? Another question asked in 2023, explain the structure of parliamentary committee system. So here the question is more generic in nature. They are asking you about the structure of parliamentary committees in general. How far have financial committees institutionalized in the Indian Parliament? Institutionalized the principle of accountability with respect to the parliamentary functioning in India. Financial committees would include the estimates committee, would include the public accounts committee, would include the committee on public undertakings, and how far they have been able to achieve their goals. From all of these four questions, when we match them with the syllabus of the examination, we would be able to arrive at the various sub-themes and subtopics that UPSC focuses on. The approach that we need to adopt for analyzing the previous year questions, therefore, has to be the following. First and foremost, we have to identify the themes itself. We have to group previous year questions into specific themes, cluster them into themes of specific types. Second, we have to understand what is the weightage of each of these themes in the last few years, and that will tell us how important that particular topic or theme is for the examination. The third will be to extract the subtopics on the basis of the questions that UPSC has asked in the past. And the fourth will be to map it to the GS2 syllabus, as well as build a checklist of what all things I need to know in that particular topic. So by looking at parliamentary committees, previous year questions, I can tell what all are the dimensions, what all are the things that I need to know, what all information I need to have at my disposal in order to be prepared for this topic in future. And lastly, on the basis of those questions, on the basis of those identified themes, I would also be able to identify what are the likely themes or subtopics that UPSC may ask in the coming years. So let's do this analysis for the topic of parliamentary committees now on the basis of the questions that UPSC has asked already. As far as the weightage is concerned, there have been 6 questions in the last 7 years from the topic of parliamentary committees. The recency is that the last question that appeared was in 2023, and the range of marks has been 10 to 15 every year whenever a question has been asked from this topic. What are the subtopics that I can extract on the basis of these questions? First and foremost, what is the parliamentary committee system in India? What are the types of parliamentary committees? And in those specifically, department related standing committees, financial committees, what has been their working, evaluation of their working, whether these committees have been able to institutionalize in the entire parliamentary functioning in India or not, how have they been institutionalized, what are the contributions that they have made with respect to the parliamentary functioning in India. So let me list it down on how I would have prepared the subtopics to be known, to be read for the mains examination. So the topic is parliamentary committees. Under the topic of parliamentary committees, as per the PYQs, I need to know what are the types of parliamentary committees in India. As you people would know, there are standing committees, and then there are ad hoc committees of the parliament. Standing committees can be further divided into department related standing committees and other committees. These other committees can be further divided into financial committees and non-financial committees. Financial committees are the ones which are most important, as we see in UPSC exams. We need to therefore focus on estimates committee, public accounts committee, and committee on public sector undertakings. Other committees of parliament are also important, but the non-financial committees ideally should be prepared according to what is there in current affairs. So if some particular committee comes up in news a lot, I should focus on that committee alone. Otherwise, there are so many committees of the parliament that I'll have to read about. For example, 2 years back, the ethics committee of the parliament was a lot in news. So UPSC ended up asking a question on the ethics committee of the parliament in the prelims examination, and we can expect a question in the mains examination as well now. Now, for each of these committees, I need to know the following things. Apart from types of these committees, I need to know what the functions of these committees are. I don't need to know them in detail, but I should have a list of broad functions that are performed by each of these committees. Third, I need to know the composition of these committees as well. Again, observe broad patterns that department related standing committees have these many number of members, PSC has these many number of members, estimate committees has these many number of members. How are the members of the department related standing committees and the parliamentary committees divided between the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha? We also need to know how their members are chosen. Are they chosen through election? Are they chosen through appointment? How their chairperson is chosen? Are there any terms and conditions with respect to their appointment, election? Can ministers be chosen into a parliamentary account committee? If not, then what happens? Who chooses the chairperson of any of these committees of the parliament? What is the tenure of each of the members of these parliamentary committees? So service conditions. Fifth, I need to know what have been some of the achievements of these committees in the recent past or in the past that they have been able to hold the government accountable, because ultimately that's the primary goal that the parliamentary committees have to perform. Sixth, I need to know if there are any current developments with respect to each of these committees, something that will be useful for me to add more content and value to my answers. Seventh, what are the limitations of each of these committees? And in general as well. And lastly, what are the recommendations that I can provide with respect to improving the functioning of these committees? Are there any reports? Are there any expert bodies that have suggested how to improve the functioning of these committees? These are the dimensions that I need to prepare. And if I do this, then I shall be comfortably able to answer all the questions that have been asked in the past and possibly may be asked in future from the topic of the parliamentary committees. This is how, with the help of previous year questions, I will be able to unlock what is there in the syllabus of UPSC. How have I arrived at this? You may simply look at previous year questions and you can do the same analysis. Discuss the role of Public Accounts Committee. So we need to know their functions, we need to know their achievements, we need to know their shortcomings. Do department-related standing committees ensure parliamentary control over the functioning of the executive? So again, achievements and limitations and functions of department-related standing committees. Examine the structure of parliamentary committee system and have the financial committees been able to institutionalize the idea of accountability in parliamentary functioning? Again, what are the functions that are performed by financial committees? What are the challenges which have been observed in their functioning? On the basis of that, I will extract the subtopics. The syllabus only says parliament and state legislatures, but PYQs are specifically asking on the functioning, the role, whether they have been able to fulfill their goals, objectives or not. Therefore, for this particular topic, I should have a small content ready. For example, I should know what are the constitutional provisions related to parliamentary committees. I should know if there are any statutory provisions. I should know if there is any important judgment of the court and what was the major observation that was made by the court in that particular case. I should note it down when I'm preparing the topic of parliamentary committees. Thirdly, I should know if there are any committees, if there are any reports, if there is any analysis that has been done on the functioning of the parliamentary committees, and I should have some statistic that I can use in the answers to add more weightage, to add more evidence to my answers. If there are any recent developments that have happened with respect to parliamentary committees, if there are any bills that have been considered by any recent parliamentary committees, and finally, what are the arguments in favor, against, whether they are working, not working. I should have short notes on this in this kind of a format for this particular topic. This is how we prepare a topic that has been given in the syllabus. Not just look at the syllabus, not just look at PYQs, try and map the PYQs to the syllabus and divide the syllabus into smaller subsections and then have this kind of a checklist for each and every topic and see that whether I have content. If I can do this for each and every topic in the syllabus, I shall be prepared for the mains examination. Apart from, of course, reading the newspapers on a daily basis. Let's look at another theme. But before that, what are the likely angles that UPSC can ask related to parliamentary committees in 2026 or in the coming years? One can be that how the ordinance and the money bills are able to bypass the scrutiny of the committees in India. Second could be on comparative aspect of Indian committees vis-a-vis the similar kind of committees that exist in UK, which has also adopted a parliamentary system. What has been the success of the pre-legislative consultation policy that has been adopted by the government in 2014? Have we actually been able to send bills before they are passed by the parliament to the parliamentary committees for pre-legislative consultation stage, which includes obtaining the views of the citizens as well on these particular matters? The next topic is federalism and center-state relations. This is a topic which has been given a lot of importance by UPSC in the past. This is a high weightage topic. Let's look at the kind of questions that UPSC has asked in the past. These are not all the questions, but some of them. In 2024, UPSC asked that what are the changes that the union government has recently introduced in the domain of center-state relations. This could include GS2, this could include Niti Aayog, this could include changing the terms under the Finance Commission recommendations or terms of reference for Finance Commission recommendations. Suggest measures to be adopted to build the trust between the center and the states for strengthening federalism in India. So this question is primarily about initiatives taken in the recent past, contemporary developments with respect to federalism, and secondly, what measures way forward in order to strengthen federal functioning of the country. 2021, the question was that the jurisdiction of the CBI regarding lodging an FIR and conducting probe within a particular state is being questioned by various states. So when the CBI is going to the various states for lodging an FIR and conducting investigation, the states are not allowing them to do so. We have seen in case of West Bengal how there was a clash between West Bengal police and the CBI officials. The similar kind of situation emerged in Punjab as well. This usually happens in opposition ruled states. However, the power of the states to withhold consent to CBI is not absolute. As you people would know, in order to conduct investigation in any particular state, CBI either needs a specific consent from the state government or a general consent. In that case, where they do not need case-to-case consent from the central government, from the state government. So it says that, however, the power of the states to not give consent to the CBI is not absolute. So there are certain conditions in which states have to give consent to the CBI for conducting investigation. For example, if it is a case inquiry that has been ordered by the court, then in that case, the states cannot not give consent to the CBI. If it is a case related to corruption or investigation against a central government officer, then the states have to give consent to the CBI for investigation and prosecution. Explain with special reference to federal character of India. Another question was, how far do you think competition, cooperation and confrontation have shaped the nature of federation in India? Cite some relevant examples or recent examples to validate your answer. 2016, the question was, the concept of cooperative federalism has been increasingly emphasized in the recent years. Highlight the drawbacks in the existing structure and the extent to which cooperative federalism would answer the shortcomings. So again, what is cooperative federalism? Whether cooperative federalism would be able to address the conflicts that exist between the center and the states in India, and whether cooperative federalism truly is the answer, or what are the shortcomings in cooperative federalism itself that need to be taken care of. On the basis of these questions, again, I would be able to extract the subtopics. For example, the question that was asked in 2014 was with respect to how the principle of federalism, even though is mentioned in our constitution, but there are centralizing tendencies of the Indian constitution. So, what are the things that I need to prepare for this particular theme, for this particular topic? I need to prepare what are the provisions in the constitution that give a very powerful position to the center in our constitutional scheme. Second, I need to prepare what are the mechanisms that have been taken up by the government in order to ensure cooperative federalism, and what do I understand by cooperative federalism in the first place. What is competitive federalism? What are the initiatives and examples of how competitive federalism works in India? What is the example of confrontational federalism that takes place between the center and the states in India? And I have plenty of relevant contemporary current affairs examples. Then I could also be preparing on what is the jurisdiction of the CBI, what is the kind of conflict it creates in center-state relations. I could then start thinking in the direction of what are the other such institutions that often create conflict between center and state, Enforcement Directorate being one of them. So now that UPSC has asked a question on CBI, they may also possibly ask a question on the Enforcement Directorate and the kind of conflict that it creates with respect to center-state relations in India. Same goes for the National Investigation Agency as well, which is again a very controversial body. I also need to prepare what are some of the recent changes that have taken place, because if you look at some of the questions that have been asked related to federalism, questions have been asked with respect to abrogation of Article 370, on the tussle between the LG of Delhi and the Chief Minister of Delhi, as well as how the courts have tried to resolve these disputes between the LG of Delhi and the CM of Delhi. So I need to prepare the specific current affairs related topics as well from the perspective of federalism. And then I need to see why there is trust deficit between the center and the states and between the states, and what are the ways to address that particular trust deficit. So with the help of previous year questions, I can again identify these particular themes. The gap that exists in the syllabus is that the syllabus says issues and challenges pertaining to federal structure. What I need to prepare is beyond what certain basic textbook teach, that what is federalism, what are the features of federalism, what are the various articles associated with federalism in India. But I need to go into analysis whether federalism is actually functioning in India or not, how it is functioning, what are the lacuna, what are the shortcomings, what are the improvements that I need to make, what are some of the contemporary issues that are emerging with respect to federalism in India. So my checklist would again include constitutional articles, would include some of the prominent cases and the observations made by the court in those cases related to federalism. What are some of the important reports that have been published related to federalism? Some of the recent developments with respect to federalism that have happened in India, and then again arguments with respect to whether we should have centralizing federalism in India or whether we need to empower the states more, what are the shortcomings, what needs to be addressed as far as functioning of the federal system is coming in India. This kind of a table has to be built by you for each and every topic. So on the basis of the same, what are the angles, what are the dimensions that I may think of that may be asked in the coming years? One nation, one election does have an impact on federalism. How does it have an impact on federalism? I should prepare. I should also be ready for questions to be asked on delimitation that is proposed and how that would create a confrontation between various states as well as center and states in India. I may also prepare the topic of interstate river water disputes, because UPSC has asked this particular topic as well in the past, and in the recent times as well there have been some conflicts over interstate rivers in India between two or more states. On the basis of current affairs, therefore, I can identify what are the future prospects of questions and what are the possible sub-themes that may be asked related to that particular question in the exam. Another particular theme which is very, very crucial and important for the exam is the constitutional and statutory bodies. In the mains examination, we have seen more than 20 questions being asked in the last 30 years. So this particular topic simply cannot be skipped by any serious candidate for the exam. Questions have centered around CAG, Attorney General, on the institutions such as NHRC, NCSC, NCST, NCBC, NCW. I need to have again a list of these important institutions. What are the functions that they perform? What are the constitutional articles? What are some of the objectives that they are supposed to achieve? What have been their achievements? What are their limitations? Are there any recommendations, way forward that I can give in order to improve the functioning of these particular bodies? If there are any controversies associated with these bodies, for example, there has been a controversy associated with the office of the CAG, where people say that it is entering too much into the domain of criticism of policy of the government. It is auditing the policy of the government. Therefore, weightage and subtopics that I can extract would be as follows. Method and terms of appointment to these institutions. Are there any service conditions that have been imposed in law or in constitution in order to maintain the independence of these institutions? What is the range of powers that these institutions can exercise? Are they really effective? Are they really able to fulfill the job? Are there any limitations on their functionings? And what is the way forward? Again, one of the things that you would realize is that I need to do the similar kind of exercise for the topic of the constitutional and the statutory bodies as well. Therefore, what are the themes that I can expect related to constitutional and statutory bodies in the coming years? Possibly expect a question on election commission, which has been one of the favorite bodies of UPSC in the last few years, with respect to especially the changes made as far as the appointment of the members of the election commission is concerned. The CAG audit of some of the off-budget borrowings that have been made, sovereign-backed corporate borrowings that have been made, has been also a topic which has been in the news in the recent past. Performance evaluation of Lokpal, now that it has reached so many years of its existence, has it actually been able to eliminate corruption in India from government services? If not, what are the reasons? What are the goals that the Lokpal is supposed to achieve? And then possibly we can do a comparative study as well across bodies and across countries. Comparison of CVC with CBI, CVC with Lokpal, comparison of NHRC with NCBC or NCSC or NCST, possibly even comparison of Indian bodies with their contemporary bodies in other countries of the world. What you would have realized from these three particular themes and questions that we have had a look at is that UPSC usually tends to focus on what the institutions intend to do originally, and are they truly able to achieve the intentions with which they were created. Therefore, I have to adopt this approach for each and every topic of the GS2 syllabus. Map them to previous year questions, cluster the questions, and on the basis of those questions, identify what are the topics or the subtopics that UPSC can possibly ask in the exam. Now, here is a task for you. In the next few weeks, this is the exercise that you people need to do for each of the topics that have been provided in GS paper 2. If you are enrolled in our mains improvement program, then we will be doing this task already, and we will be providing a sheet to you of what are the expected themes that UPSC can ask with respect to each of the topics, what are the themes that UPSC has already touched upon, and what all you need to know with respect to each of these themes, along with some data, judgments, statistics, some important observations made by committees, so that you have ready information that you can plug into your answers and you can truly improve your answers and the marks as well in the mains program. So therefore, thank you so much for your time. If you have any doubts, if you have any questions, you may mail me. I hope that you found this session pretty useful and you would be able to apply this in order to get more clarity on how to prepare for GS paper 2. Thank you so much again, and have a good day.